When I started out on the land, it felt like I was on my own and up against it.
Something's been eating pretty much everything above ground.
But that's gradually changing. Now I've got my good mates,
You went well, Ross.
have a growing family,
It's really yummy.
and of course, my menagerie of trusty farm animals. I used to be a big city food critic, but I gave up that life and moved to a small farm in country Tasmania. I've been learning how to produce my own food so I can know and trust what I eat. But just when I thought I had it all figured out, along comes Sadie, our boy Headley, and responsibility. So now I'm farming for three. How hard can it be? Everything's coming together on my farm. I love sharing the land with livestock, and although all the animals get along, they've figured out a pecking order of sorts. Carrie likes to think she's top dog, but the sheep know otherwise.
Harry.
The pigs mind their own business, so long as they're well fed.
Look at those four little curly tails wandering up.
Roger the rooster rules the roost in the chook yard. But really, the chief of staff is Maggie.
Maggie.
She's a pushy, bossy cow.
Maggie seems to be a bit jealous.
But in spite of it all, she's the one I'm closest to.
Come, Maggie. Good girl.
It's not just the animals that are happy and healthy. My garden's also looking good, although I can't take much of the credit for that.
Here we go. Thank you.
On my first year on the farm, the veggie garden got decimated by possum, so I didn't end up growing much. But now Sadie's taken over, she's doing a much better job. She's even joined a local community garden group. They go around to each other's houses each week and they get so much more work done. Hey guys, I've baked some muffins. Would anyone like a tea or a coffee?
Ooh.
Tea.
One tea, two teas?
You wouldn't have a beer, Matthew, would you?
She's having a beer. I'll have one.
Sure, 2 beers and 3 teas, no worries. 2 beers it is, and a couple for the barman. Got a cleansing or a Derwent?
I'll go to cleansing. Thank you.
But even with a cold beer in her hand, Joe's still not happy.
Shop bought beer. I'm surprised you're not making your own, Matthew.
You should. Everything else is homemade.
It's fair enough too, but at least they do appreciate my home cooking. Small thanks for all their hard work. But the dust has barely settled when more guests come knocking. I normally turn away campervan hippies who rock up wanting a warm bed and a feed. But I guess I should make an exception for Mum and Dad. He's got hair now. How are you? The grey nomads are stopping in on their drive around the state, and they're just in time for dinner. All the veg will come out of Sadie's rejuvenated garden.
And we can grab a couple of purple carrots from over near the beans too.
We're going to cook these straight away then, Sadie?
Yeah, we'll pop them straight on.
On the menu, scarlet runner beans, juicy carrots, and the first of our new season spuds. The perfect match for some of my spring lamb, fresh from the freezer.
Cheers, how nice to see you all. Nice wine.
If you eat quickly, you have a second chop. Except you, Headley, which I know you'll eat quicker than anyone.
He's such a carnivore, isn't he? Look, he hasn't touched a vegetable.
Yeah, they go through phases. You know what really interests me about you growing your own food is that Headley isn't getting all those preservatives and chemicals, and I don't think our children did. I think it's been that interim period. He's getting such a healthy diet. And look at him, he's eating a chop, he's eating a potato. Is that nice, Headley?
I was thinking it the other day, like his first milk was raw milk. His first meat was duck from the neighbour's farm. He's never had chicken from a factory farm. I'm not obsessing about it, I just think we have the choice and we're lucky.
Yeah.
Very lucky. Having 3 generations sit down to dinner together, eating homegrown food under a setting Tassie sun, I do feel pretty lucky. It's hard to imagine life could get any better.
Well, that's good.
But life can always get better. Just add beer. I guess Joe's right. You know, I probably should be making my own beer. I know heaps of people who've made home brew, and Oh, you know, it can't be that hard. I've heard of bottles exploding though, so I've actually tracked down the local expert, the guy who makes probably the best brew around here, so I'm on my way to see him.
So it's off to the Derwent Valley, hop growing country. Ashley Huntington used to be a winemaker, but his love of a good ale saw him switch grapes for grain, which he grows on site and then transforms in his brew house.
Hey Ashley.
Oh, Matthew, how are you?
Yeah, good mate. I caught you in the middle of something.
Cleaning, cleaning, cleaning. That's all brewing is, really.
I hear you're the bloke, the expert brewer around these parts who can show me how to make beer.
Well, I've learnt on the run, so you're going to learn the way I learnt, which is by doing it.
The lesson begins in an unmarked shipping container.
The malt store.
And malt is...
Malt is malted barley. Malted barley. When you were in primary school, did you do the little experiment where you got the little bits of grain and put them on a cotton bud on the windowsill and let them sprout?
Yep.
That's basically the malting process.
All right, getting to that point.
It's the grain preparing to give its sugars for growth,
Yep.
and that's what the brewer wants, to ferment.
All those sugars.
We'll need about a dozen full packs, 25 kilos. Cool. Away we go. I'll grab one.
You should get yourself a trolley.
Shouldn't we?
I hope I do a much smaller batch than this. This is like hard work.
What you're basically dealing with is a cooking process. We have to take the grain and get the sugar out of this hard kernel of grain. And when we're finished there, the mash is pumped into this tank. We're left with solid grain husks in there.
Yep.
And liquid, sugary, malty, beer-looking liquid in here. Bring that to a big boil, add hops. Beautiful.
That beer-looking liquid is called wort, but to give it a beer-like flavour, we need this stuff.
Here is the hop field.
Look at that. This is what they look like.
This magnificent, aren't
Who
they?
knew?
The hop is a first cousin of both marijuana and asparagus. They are an extraordinary plant. And take a smell.
Wow.
Gorgeous. Now have a taste.
Ugh.
You won't get something that's more bitter than that.
No, it's horribly bitter.
And that's what we're looking for in the beer. The aromatics
Oh.
is the aroma and flavour and texture in a beer, but we also, that bitterness is essential to clean the back palate of the beer up and give the beverage length. So the malt, barley, is the basis of the beer, but this is the magic.
But before Ashley can finish showing me around the brewery, Sadie calls.
What else did she say?
Our milking cow Maggie has taken ill, and the vet's there now.
All right. It'll take me a couple of hours to get there. I'll be there as soon as I can. Sit. Maggie's got mastitis. The vet said she's not well, really not well. She was on the ground, not able to get up, so she's got to have injections, antibiotics, and there's a couple of other things we have to do for her, so I'm heading home.
I really hope she's okay. Back on the farm, it's not looking good. Maggie's not getting up or eating, so Sadie's been trying to hand feed her chaff and molasses. Usually she'll scoff this right down, but Sadie has to force it into her mouth, and even then it's a bit of a battle to get her to swallow. Even the calf knows something's not right. The vet's left us with a penicillin-based antibiotic and a painkiller, which she'll need twice a day if she's going to recover.
It's best to give her them while she's up. Maggie doesn't seem to be eating or drinking much, and she's probably not producing any milk, so I've got 2 bottles of milk, nicely warmed from another cow. A guy owns some cows down the road.
Mastitis is a painful infection of the udder tissue, and even with the antibiotics, it can still lead to gangrene and death. But we've caught it early, which should give Maggie a fighting chance. Getting our cow healthy isn't the only challenge. To conserve Maggie's energy, we also have to bottle feed the calf.
There you go. That's right. There we go. She's unwell. It's a stress on her system to produce milk. The first thing that'll happen is she'll stop producing milk because she needs to protect her own body and get her own body back in shape. So the reality of what I've done by letting my cow get sick is probably cut myself out of having milk for a year, which was the whole point of her having a calf. But all I really care about at the moment is that she lives. We're really lucky to have neighbours helping us out with milk, advice. That's away, little one. I used to work with some chefs who could empty a beer bottle faster than him. That's away.
That's as much as I can do for now, but I'll have to stick around while she recuperates. With a bit of time on my hands, I might as well have a crack at that homebrew. Ashley's heard about Maggie's illness, so to give me a homebrew head start, he's dropped off a special delivery.
This is the wort. The wort which I got from Ashley, which is all the cooked barley, and he's got that ready for me to go. I've got his hops that I've dried that smell, I have to say, terrific. Good enough to cook with. I don't really know what I'm doing, but he's sent me an email with all the instructions. So first thing I need to do is boil this.
It's the first of about 1 million steps. Pop the brew on the flame, then add the hops in 3 stages as the wort heats, for bitterness, flavour, and finally, aroma. Then into cold water to lock in these characters.
Cool this as rapidly as possible.
And strain through muslin to remove the hops.
It's actually starting to smell like beer.
Then it's yeast time. It's brought to life in a cup of warm water and then mixed through the brew so the magic of fermentation can begin.
And apparently, that's it. Leave that for a week somewhere. Maybe out here.
Three days later, the weather's taken a turn for the worse. And so has Maggie. Her regular injections just don't seem to be bringing any relief.
Hey, Max. How you going? It's a really bad sign when a cow lies down and doesn't get up. Normally Maggie would be straight on her feet when I come near her. The fact that she isn't is concern. When you can't do anything for her, when you can't give her food, you can't give her water, and you're watching them go downhill.
She struggles to her feet, but only just.
There's lots of animals on this place, but when you milk a cow, you hand milk a cow and you smell the cow every morning when you milk her and you feel the warmth against your shoulder and you form this really close bond with her. To see her sick is, I can only sort of describe it as being almost like seeing a sick child, a relative. The sort of losing her is I can't even begin to contemplate.
I've spoken to the vet and there's nothing more we can do, other than wait and hope. But a week after she got sick, my worst fears are realised.
The hole that's been dug behind me is for Maggie. She was suffering a lot yesterday, couldn't get up. Was on the phone every day to the vet. She wasn't responding to antibiotics, gangrene of the udder. We had her put down last night, put her out of pain and suffering. Unlucky, inevitable, bad management, I don't know. All I know is I've lost the animal that I had the closest bond to on the farm. And we have to bury them.
It's been a huge blow to lose my beloved cow. And with his mother gone, the orphaned calf will need to be hand-fed twice a day until he can be weaned in 3 months' time. Sadie's looking after him today. She reckons I should get away from the farm for a bit and clear my head. A few weeks back, I discovered spelt growing at Damon Farm in the northwest of Tassie. It's an ancient form of wheat and was a food staple of Europe up until the Middle Ages. And I've just heard that there's a new mill in Oatlands that's grinding spelt flour, so I'm heading up to the Midlands to check it out now. In the centuries before electricity and motorised transport, the lifeblood of communities were mills like this. They would have dotted the landscape. But times have changed, and Callington Mill in Oatlands is one of the last remaining. It's overseen by head miller Benjamin Paulson.
Benjamin,
Welcome to Callington Mill.
thank you. This is your workplace.
And it's a majestic little piece of kit too, isn't it?
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. A live working mill. How many of those exist in Australia?
This is the only Georgian tower mill still producing flour in the Southern Hemisphere.
Hemisphere.
It's Callington Mill.
So Georgian, how old does that make it?
They started working the mill in 1837. I was just about to go inside and put some spelt through the stones if you'd like to come along.
Yeah, I'd love to see how it works.
All right, let's go.
So how do you get the grain up?
Everything is dependent upon the wind. It's a bag hoist.
We connect the sacks of unmilled grain to the hoist chain.
All right, just put your foot in the stirrup, grab a hold of the rope and pull down.
It's moving pretty slowly, but probably easier to do this than bug it up the stairs. There we go.
And the wind does all the work, lifting our spelt skyward.
All right, let him go.
But even with the sails rotating, there's still a lot of legwork. The mill is divided into 4 levels, each for a specific stage of the milling process, and I have to race up 3 flights to the bin floor at the top.
Come all the way up. And a bit further. All right, and
There you
lift
go.
off all the way. You can just put them down there on the grain and then we'll get them into the bins.
How about this? Just this massive sail. Sail? Passing the
Sail.
window.
Call them the whole lot of sail.
Every couple of seconds. What's in these big bins?
In this bin we have wheat, but what we're hoping to get through this afternoon is some of this beautiful Tasmanian grown organic spelt.
Spelt.
And it's got a lovely, lovely nutty flavour.
It's got a great flavour.
So let's put some of that spelt through the stone, shall we?
Sure, we do that.
Down to the stone floor.
Down again.
Down again.
A lot of stair climbing in your job.
This is true.
It's the stone floor where the real work is done. A quick tap and the grain is released into a hopper, which feeds the grinding stones.
What we grind now will get swept down the meal spout and that'll join us downstairs.
On the next floor down.
Driven by wind and fed by gravity.
Fed by gravity. Fantastic.
But before she can be kicked into gear, the sail slats have to be opened to let the wind pass through, stopping the spin of the blades. Then he pops her into first. Then he submarines downstairs again to re-engage the slats. Maybe next time he'll consider getting an automatic. And finally, the mill grinds slowly to life.
The sails are whizzing by outside. It's not a hugely windy day, but this is the start of the spelt going through. The 1.5 tonne stone sitting on top of another stone, spinning around. From downstairs, Benjamin's able to control a little bit of the speed of how the grain's going through and the height of the stones. So it's all about feel. The wind has an effect, the humidity has an effect, and Benjamin's the master and control of what sort of flour we can get out of that grain.
Lovely fine spelt. That's coming through beautifully.
I can actually feel how light that is, yeah.
Yeah, and straight off the stones, quite creamy. Not that, you know, you put flour from back it into your mouth and it dries your mouth out immediately. That's nutty and creamy.
It is. Completely different. Very nutty. I like that.
So that you'll get that same taste in your bread.
An ancient grain, milled with ancient technology that, in my opinion, still gives a superior flour.
And we'll call that your...
I can't wait to try it.
My spelt
Spelt.
flour. I'll tell you when I milled it.
You can tell. Yeah, well, look, why not? I tell people I built the mill.
My beer's been brewing in the bottle for a couple of weeks. But today, I'm rising to a different challenge.
Well, I finally got around to making something with that spelt flour that I got from Callington Mill. So I've made a sourdough bread. So it's about a quarter spelt, 3/4 normal flour. What happened when I first started making bread was I was really, eager to knead it and do lots of work. And now I've discovered if you leave it long enough, leave it overnight, you don't need to knead, which is great because I'm a lazy bread maker. So we'll just tip it out on here, shape it, leave it in this banneton to rise. Just flicking the sides over like that, and that's it. This is what I'm going to mould it in. You could bake it in a tin. This just stops it going too flat like a pancake. You can see, it's still full of air, minimal handling. I've done minimal kneading, minimal handling.
After an hour rising, it's ready to whack on the tray.
It's quite a runny dough, this one, a bit runnier than I thought. Ooh, that's okay. I'm just going to score it, put it straight in the oven. Straight in the oven.
Ooh, the smokier the better.
I do it in a really hot oven for 35 minutes, then drop it down.
The higher heat gives a good crust, and the lower finishes baking it all the way through.
Well, that's my first ever spelt loaf. It's been cooling for a bit over an hour to make sure it's nice and cool. Sadie disappeared early this morning. I think that's her coming back now. This loaf could taste better than it looks. I'm hoping it does. I'll get her to be the judge though. Hey, Hone.
Hello.
Just in time. It's still vaguely warm.
Just in time for your new...
It's my new spelt loaf. First time made.
Can I taste?
Yep. Doesn't look all that. Hopefully it tastes all right.
It's a bit flat.
Thanks. I was doing a ciabatta.
But that's really yummy.
Oh, I'm pretty happy with that. Dark crust.
The texture's actually delicious.
I've got another surprise. You know that beer? Finally ready.
Well, why don't you grab a couple of glasses and bring it outside, because I have a surprise for you.
Yeah? I often find surprises out in the barnyard.
You wait. Ta-da!
Oh no. No,
It's a new cow.
I know. Thank you.
It's Priscilla. Isn't she nice?
She's gorgeous. She's 100% Jersey.
100% Jersey. She came from a smallholder, so she's been hand-milked all her life.
Oh, great.
Yeah, let's go.
Is she friendly?
Oh, she's gorgeous.
Yeah?
What? Look at this. Watch. You know how Maggie didn't like you to walk up to her unless you're milking her?
Yeah.
Hey, lovely. Isn't she gorgeous?
She's lovely. She is calmer. She's smaller.
Yeah, I think she's a little bit smaller.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
A new house cow. All the more reason to crack open my homebrew.
So what is this? Amber ale.
It's the Puggle Farm Amber.
Okay.
The first batch. Let's see how it tastes. Good head. That's pretty bloody fine, isn't it?
It's delicious. We should toast the new cow to Priscilla
Yeah. And to Maggie.
and to Maggie.
We're heading upriver
So we're going to start up in the mountains, a place called Rivo Bridge.
for a boys' own adventure that sees us shooting the rapids,
That was fun.
and we learn a thing or two about wasabi.
Yes.
I always start at the other end.
Actually, that's wrong.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Wow.